My name is Bartolome Sanchez. Of the conquest of the New World, I saw plenty. Almost too much for one man. Even today, the cities of gold haunt me. The time has come for me to recount my experience.
Lo siento, lo siento.
This is it. I'm on my way. Farewell, Seville. My mother shall weep tears of joy when I return with armloads of gold. She will say, Bartolome, you are our fortune.
In the 16th century, hundreds of young men like Bartolome left Seville for what is still known as the New World. They set off in the footsteps of explorer Christopher Columbus, who had brought back from his expedition of 1492 a handful of gold ornaments swiped in the Caribbean. This small amount of gold was enough to give rise to the wildest of stories. There were said to be cities of gold gleaming in the sun. Mysterious sovereigns covered from head to toe in gold.
From a Eurocentric perspective, what really matters is that there is a place somewhere that must be full of gold. If you find El Dorado, that iconic location, you have solved all of your problems because you will have wealth and power.
The destructive conquest of the New World was underway. For centuries, these fantastical tales would be the justification for the most terrible acts of violence and hasten the genocide of indigenous peoples.
To the indigenous peoples, the Spanish appetite for gold was just absolutely incomprehensible. It was like, I mean, are they ever going to be satisfied?
The myth of El Dorado, or that of the cities of gold, is nothing but a great misunderstanding, a clear example of the clash of cultures arising when two totally different civilizations collide.
Was the Spanish conquest really the result of a great misunderstanding? 5 centuries after the colonization of the Americas, scientists from around the world are following in the conquistadors' footsteps to investigate this murky period and tell us what Bartolome and so many other Spaniards did not, could not, or would not see.
I have joined an expedition of soldiers who are exploring the interior. We are 40 men and as many horses, with no guides or maps. No one has ever been where we are attempting to go. It is said that these lands are home to an Indian people, naturals, with incredible riches.
This mountainous area explored by Bartolome is the territory of the Muisca. a loose confederation of societies that inhabited the high plateaus of eastern Colombia from 600 to 1800 CE.
They were Chicha speaking. They practiced agriculture. They traded with emeralds and salt. They made loads and loads of textiles, particularly cotton. They were very good at that, and it had a lot of value for them. And of course, they are very well known for the wide variety of gold work they made.
Archaeologist Marcos Martín Torres has spent years investigating this enigmatic gold-working people.
The value of gold among the Muisca was eminently symbolic. Rituals were very important within Muisca cosmovision, and gold was clearly a very important component. Gold was used often in combination with other valuable materials, and it was used for offerings that were trying to seek divine propitiatory favor in certain moments, such as marriage, harvest, perhaps to seek stability at times of unrest.
When the Spaniards arrived, the Muisca peoples became the subject of an incredible legend, so enduring that it has survived down the ages to us: the myth of El Dorado. It was said that somewhere in the Colombian mountains, a king was in the habit of bathing in a lake, his body covered with gold dust, while the crowds threw heaps of gold and emeralds in the water around him. This mysterious sovereign would obsess the Spaniards. They soon referred to him as El Dorado, the Golden One. And a tiny object seems to confirm his existence: the Muisca raft. Marcos has studied it in detail.
At the center, we have the most important characters, shown also in their larger size. He's wearing a spectacular nose ring, as well as a headdress with various danglers. In front of him, there are two other characters wearing feathers in their heads. They are wearing an animal mask, possibly a feline with little ears. Unquestionably, the person in the middle is a very important character in the community.
The race was on among the Spaniards to find this golden king and the lake on which he officiated over his people. There was no doubt in their minds. This was the site of the Muisca's treasure.
Of course you would get excited. As a European, you've come to America after wealth. Let's not forget that. Ultimately, that's what they are here for. And then you hear these stories of somewhere people are throwing gold and emeralds into the lake. Of course you want to find that lake, and so that justifies your presence here, your violence against them, and that obviously has dramatic implications that reach into the present day.
For 3 months now, we have been going around in circles. Anger is growing in our ranks. Wherever we go, the naturals direct us elsewhere. Our men are losing their patience. They suspect these Indians are lying to us. each village becomes the theater of a new massacre. We punish those who refuse to reveal their secrets and plunder all we can.
Where was El Dorado and his treasure? For years, conquistadors like Bartolome searched for him relentlessly. Ever further, like a mirage. Until one day in 1537, in the foothills of the Andes, at almost 3,000 meters above sea level, a group of Spaniards discovered a mysterious lake. Guatavita. They were convinced that this was where El Dorado officiated, and that the gold and emeralds thrown during the ceremonies were waiting for them at the bottom of the lake.
In the 1580, the Spaniard brought a lot of men to dig the first trench out of the lake to try to drain it. And in the 1912, I think it was probably the time when you can see that trench, that channel going out of the lake as we see it today. That's probably the moment when that was dug out to drain it completely. It must have been reaching up to probably where we are now, so the perspective would have been very different.
But these conquistadors and then treasure hunters who wrought havoc here found very little gold at the bottom of the lake. Because among the Muisca, gold was far less abundant than the Spaniards imagined.
With every myth, there are elements of truth, and archaeological surveys have indeed found archaeological materials. They have also found votive vessels, vessels that would be used to make offerings. But it's also quite likely that its role as a sacred place in a landscape that was full of shrines and sanctuaries has been inflated by European stories and ambitions. I don't think anyone is reported to have made all that wealth to change their life forever as those ambitioning El Dorado were expecting.
Instead of treasure, the Spaniards saw the promise of a new kingdom, a land to be plundered and a population to be subjugated. Dominance was the norm for Europeans of the 16th century. Convinced as they were of their superiority over these Indians, whom they considered subhuman. And rumor had it that these good savages were so naive that they would willingly exchange their gold for mere trinkets. A new idea took shape in the conquistadors' minds.
After months of hell, we had arrived in paradise. A lush, sun-drenched coast dominated by a huge mountain. We named it for Christ's hospitable disciple, Santa Marta. We were filled with fresh hope. For we had heard that in this mountain there lived another savage people who liked to adorn themselves in exquisite jewelry, and we hoped to swindle them of their treasure.
Santa Marta. In 1525, on the edge of the Caribbean Sea, the Spanish founded the continent's first colonial settlement and tried to take control of their formidable neighbors, the Tairona.
The Tairona are a group of polities that have lived in the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, or at least part of it, since about 100 AD, until 1600 AD. And most people who were seen by the Spanish had some form of gold ornament on their bodies. Tairona objects are easily recognizable because of their style. They were very, very sophisticated goldsmiths.
When they met the Tairona, the Spaniards were convinced they could easily manipulate them to seize their gold. So sure were they of their adversaries' naivety. But is this the true story? In the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta in northern Colombia, archaeologist Santiago Giraldo is busy writing another version. He is about to set off to his excavation site. It's a 2-day climb. In the blazing sun, with humidity topping 80%.
For me, it's just the usual. I've been doing it for many, many years. My eldest son calls it the faraway office. But I love walking. I love hiking. So for me, it's just fun.
Hola, doña Carmen.
Doña Rosa.
I lost count a while ago, but the last time I counted, I had gone about 210 times in the past 25 years. But I still love it. I love the people over here, both the campesinos and my indigenous friends. And you're always learning something new.
Like Bartolome and hundreds of other Spaniards, these scientists will venture far off the beaten track, deep into the tropical forest. They trek through rugged terrain over a series of passes and tackle the Sierra's steepest slopes.
It isn't easy. You have to walk slowly and try not to stop too often. But it's awesome so far.
The scientists are on their way to Ciudad Perdida, the lost city. A ghost town where Santiago has spent almost 25 years investigating the past of the Tairona people and their way of living before the Spanish arrived.
Deep down, I must admit I am afraid. The governor has sent us to carry out reconnaissance in the Sierra. Apparently, in this dense jungle, there are cities built by the Indians. They are said to be ungodly and terribly violent. Lord, help us in our ordeal. We will surely have to fight yet again. Grant that I see my mother and my homeland once more.
Did Bartolome have real reasons to be afraid?
The Spanish had a very troubled relationship with this territory. Also, what they found was that the Tairona were a match in terms of being extremely good warriors. Because of the mountainous terrain, cavalry doesn't really work well out here. And then to be able to take by assault a town such as Ciudad Perdida, Spanish soldiers had to walk in single file, completely exposed to Tairona archers. And it's not a good deal. And then also the Tairona had poison arrows, which the Spanish were mortally afraid of.
What we do know is no Spaniard managed to reach the top of these 1,350 steps and take the fortress. Ciudad Perdida. "180 terraces carved into the mountainside and connected by a vast network of roads. A sprawling and ingenious architectural marvel, which Santiago and his team are gradually revealing and can now interpret.
Thank you.
Ciudad Perdida for us is iconic because it served to prove the point that you can have extremely complex societies with complex architecture living in tropical rainforest environments, which for many, many years, many academics would say that it was impossible.
What the archaeologists are uncovering here is an archipelago of stones designed to withstand attacks of all kinds in the heart of an impenetrable jungle. How many people lived here, perched on the ridges of the Sierra? It's a question that Santiago and his team have been asking themselves for years, because it's impossible to excavate the entirety of this densely vegetated valley. To estimate the Tairona population, the archaeologist employed LIDAR, a remote sensing technology that sends laser pulses through the tree canopy to create precise 3D maps of the terrain. And what he discovered defies our imagination.
We started finding all these terraces that we had never seen before. And so we have a terraced area right here, and then another one right here, another one right here, another one right here, another one here, another one here, and then all the way up to this flat area right here. So what we're finding with LiDAR is that these river valleys were completely occupied. It was a completely transformed landscape. So the population estimate in the entirety of the Sierra Nevada Santa Marta and the lowlands could be anywhere within 750,000 to 1 million people.
1 million natives versus a few hundred Spaniards. So Bartolomé and his fellow explorers would have found themselves up against a much larger and stronger enemy force. Against such an army, strong-arm tactics would have been useless.
A delegation of natives came down to our camp. The governor entered into talks with the Caciques Indians. He wanted to trade with them, but I'm not sure any of this is terribly Christian. For their gold, we exchanged simple axes and wine. It is so unfair. We are laughing at them.
Simple axes and wine for gold jewelry. Thanks to early historical texts, Santiago has been able to study this strange trade. And according to him, from the Tairona's perspective, it was more rational than it appears.
When traditionally you've had to clear out forest with stone axes, and then you get your hands on a steel axe, it simply potentiates the idea that you can open up new farmland very quickly and very easily. So it adds up to your prestige, it adds up to your ability to produce food.
So were the Tairona smarter traders than the Spaniards like to believe? At the top of the city, at the end of this huge staircase, Santiago has found another clue, enabling us to understand the advantages this trade represented for the Tairona. While excavating this terrace, he uncovered the remains of great banquets where alcohol flowed freely.
From the archaeological evidence, we do know that there was quite a bit of commensal politics, so quite a bit of feasting going on, maybe to entertain allies and also subjects. Food and drink in all societies are absolutely important. They are the glue that binds people together. And so having a generous ruler that provided food and drink to subjects and allies is absolutely important.
By analyzing jars found on different Tairona sites, Santiago has established that alcohol was an essential part of these feasts. One even features a man vomiting, likely after drinking shisha, a traditional maize beer. But the brewing of this beer took 3 to 4 days and depended on the harvests. This is why the Tairona chiefs were so interested in the Spaniards' wine. They saw it as a more practical beverage. With this exotic drink, they could unite and impress their guests.
And in some cases, it's mentioned specifically in the documents as in they have developed a taste for Marsala wine. So that's one fascinating aspect of it. So you would have the Spanish, who was the escribano, right, the scribe, jotting down. Chief X, Y, or Z, or so-and-so, has asked specifically for wine, machetes, axe heads. That is the only thing that they are willing to exchange gold objects for. And so in that sense, to a certain extent, it was a win-win sort of situation. The Spanish got what they wanted, and the chiefs also got what they wanted. So that's what's called a good trade balance.
Thanks to the work of Santiago and his team, a whole new story is emerging. That of indigenous peoples infinitely more sophisticated and far less passive than the good savages described by the conquistadors.
I have followed the mercenaries to the island of Puna. A great expedition is being planned to a country called Peru. It is said that over there, the cities are built of gold and gleam in the sun. All the men are talking about a man called Pizarro. He is to lead the expedition and is looking for brave men to enroll. It is said no one knows this country better than he. This will be the third time he has attempted the adventure. Will he succeed this time?
When he arrived in 1532, 40 years after Christopher Columbus, Pizarro discovered a troubled land ravaged by war. The vast Inca Empire, which stretched from southern Colombia to Argentina, was falling apart, undermined by rivalry between the heirs to the throne as well as local rebellions. For the Spaniards, such chaos was a godsend. Taking advantage of their enemies' weaknesses, they advanced southward and took over abandoned territory. One of history's greatest pillages would soon be underway. Carol Ferreso is an archaeometallurgist. She has devoted her career to the gold-working peoples plundered by the Spanish.
When the conquistadors arrived here, they had no idea of the incredible wealth of this vast territory. However, what they had learned over the course of their many expeditions was where to find gold, and they knew that they'd find it in the huacas. Huacas are temples, sacred sites, where the community's ancestors were buried.
Did this great pillage make Bartolome and the other conquistadors rich? What treasures did the temples of Peru really contain? This is what Carol is trying to find out by investigating the people that left these remains. The Moche. A sophisticated culture with highly skilled goldsmiths, which flourished on Peru's northern coast from 100 to 800 CE. The Spanish, therefore, never met them, but they heard that this people of the past buried their kings in temples, such as the Huaca de la Luna, and its twin, the Huaca del Sol. But the treasure looted from these sanctuaries had a surprise in store for the conquistadors.
Pizarro set aside a handful of jewelry that he wishes to take intact to the King of Spain. He ordered us to melt down everything else to make ingots, which will be easier to transport. The gold is not pure. It is of poor quality. We are stricken with despair. The treasure is fake. The Indians were clever enough to guide us to worthless loot.
The search for the cities of gold was marked by deep disappointment. The much fantasized about treasure was not pure, but made of a combination of gold and copper, or of gold-plated copper. Was it a ruse? Did the indigenous people lie and guide the Spaniards to fake treasure to keep the most precious objects for themselves? To solve these conundrums, Carol is attempting to replicate the work of the Moche goldsmiths.
Okay, good, you can weigh it.
Thanks to experimental archaeology.
Are you making an alloy of 2 or 3 metals?
3 metals.
3, okay.
With the help of Peruvian goldsmith Armando Castillo, Carol is creating a Moche artifact from scratch. In the hope of understanding why these craftsmen chose to mix their gold with a significant amount of copper.
In the Andes, the production of alloys appeared with the Moche culture. In other words, from around 100 to 200 CE, they began to use copper in their metalworking. So copper appeared, and it was combined with 2 or 3 metals. This made technical improvements possible, such as lowering the melting point of gold by 100 degrees Celsius. And alloys are harder and stronger than pure metals, and they give objects the right mechanical resistance.
And thanks to experimental archaeology, Carol has observed that alloys gave the Moche craftsmen another fundamental advantage. Once decorated with finely detailed raised and carved designs, their pieces were polished and revealed all of their colors and brilliance.
I'm going to polish the metal now to remove the copper oxide and the scratches. You see here? The polishing has had an effect.
It's beautiful, and there are no scratches. In fact, alloys enabled them to make objects in different colors. They had a wide range of possible colors, from pale pink to really bright yellows, the color of gold, sun gold.
And for the Moche, this symbolism was of prime importance.
The question is, did a gilded copper object have less worth than an object in 18 or 20 karat gold? Probably not. All of these gilded copper pieces were no less valuable than objects made of solid gold. Because, in fact, the real value of this material for ancient Peruvian societies was its symbolic significance and its color, which represented everything the divine image of the sun represented.
So these indigenous peoples probably did not set out to deceive the Spanish. Rather, there was a huge gulf between these two cultures. In fact, with their plundering and bartering, the Spanish only managed to amass a small amount of gold, but everything would change in the autumn of 1532. Pizarro then took on the greatest power in South America, the Incas. Taking advantage of local wars, he launched an attack on the residence of their emperor, Atahualpa, who was said to be incredibly rich. Caught in a cowardly ambush in the city of Cajamarca, Atahualpa was taken prisoner. He made a sensational promise to his captors. If they freed him, he would fill the room where he was being held with gold. Although they were not a gold-working people, the Incas were rich. Thanks to their many conquests, they had amassed the treasure of the peoples who had come before them. Riches patiently accumulated over centuries, swiped in the space of weeks. The haul was unprecedented. Over 11 tons of precious metals were melted down and sent to Spain. But reneging on his promise, Pizarro had Atahualpa executed, then seized the capital of his empire, Cusco. If a city of gold had indeed existed, it was surely this. But like the rest of the empire, Cusco was sacked, dismantled for the Spanish crown. In a matter of days, it lost its gleaming splendor. The story could have ended here. The greatest empire of the Americas had fallen. The conquistadors were triumphant. But their thirst for riches was unquenchable.
So many battles, so much wandering. At the age of 35, I had already had more adventures than most men can hope for in a lifetime. Pizarro's ranks tore each other apart around me. Friends of yesterday had become sworn enemies. I got a share of the booty, but not enough to return home glorious. We decided to change strategy and search for the source, the mines in the mountains of the south. We wandered through desolate landscapes in the harsh sun and freezing nights. So high up that the air was rare.
Carol has to undertake this long journey too, to continue her investigation on the trail of the indigenous goldsmiths. A great expedition across the Andes, from northern Peru to the lunar landscapes of Colombia's Altiplano. It's here, on the edge of the former Inca Empire, that the conquistadors made their most lucrative discovery, in the city of Potosí. Our history books have no record of this, but Europe's destiny was decided here. In the bowels of a mountain. In the heart of a gigantic mine. So huge that ore is still extracted here 500 years on.
We're good to go.
Former miner Juan Carlos has agreed to take Carol inside.
Come this way. This is the entrance to the mine. See these dark patches on the wood? It's llama blood. Once a year at a festival, the miners sacrificed them at the mine entrance to bring themselves good fortune. It was an offering to Pachamama. Ready? Mind your head.
At the end of these tunnels, in total darkness and an unbreathable atmosphere, slumbered the ore that would finally make Bartolomé and his compatriots rich. And it was not gold, but silver.
On their expeditions, the conquistadors were constantly on the lookout for gold mines. But in the end, they happened upon a mountain of silver, literally a mountain, which brought them immense wealth for over 2 centuries, yet also upended the lives of the indigenous peoples of the Altiplano regions. What we know today, thanks to research, is that this mine was in operation even before the Spanish arrived. The Spanish benefited from the indigenous metallurgists, the miners already working in this mine in the Inca period, or maybe even well before that in the pre-Inca period.
Thanks to Potosi, Spain controlled the world's silver supply. In the second half of the 16th century, it enjoyed a virtual monopoly and began to mint here, in the heart of the Andes, the world's first global currency. In under a century, the tiny village of Potosi was transformed. It became the world's most populous city and the new showcase of the Spanish Empire. A jewel built with the blood of conquered peoples.
The new world made me wealthy. But today, as my strength declines, I wonder if I was worthy of the gift bestowed upon me. So much theft, so many massacres, so much division and hatred. All over the empire, men of faith are starting to speak out against us. They speak of barbarity, of an affront to mankind and to God who watches over us. Was it all worth it?
We shouldn't necessarily judge the past with the values and the knowledge of the present. However, it is undeniable that the conquest had dramatic consequences on the environment, on the power structures, on the sheer demographics of the Americas.
Although precise figures are difficult to identify, many historians agree that the Spanish conquest caused the death of almost 90% of the indigenous population. And it remains the greatest genocide in human history.
You know, when you lose 90% of your population, really what you lose is knowledge. You lose the capacity to build the world in the way that you see it fit, to materialize your aesthetic and sociocultural choices into the fabric and texture of the world. That's what you lose.
This is one of the most important consequences of the conquest in the longer term, the negation of indigenous histories and identities. And it is something that perhaps, optimistically, archaeology can help reconstruct, visualize, and empower.
The story of the Americas was written by the victors. But with each new discovery, scientists are gradually piecing together another version. One in which there are no all-powerful kings or cities of gold, and where treasures are not always what we imagine. A more complex tale, without heroes or barbarians, patiently crafted in the hope of learning.